Hilchos Yesodei Hatorah Perek Asiri. The Foundations of the Torah, chapter 10. It's the final chapter. Today we're finishing the Mazal Tov, the first section of Halachot out of 83. There's 83 such sections. Today we're finishing the first one. And the topic is still Nevuah, still about prophecy. And today we're going to learn about what is considered a sign that the prophet needs to give us before we consider him to be true. In Perek Zayin, in chapter 7, we said that the first thing that a prophet needs to do is to behave like a prophet. And then once we're certain that he's behaving like a prophet, now the next thing is he has to bring a ot umofet. He has to do a miracle or a sign. So what is exactly this miracle or sign? Says the Rambam Halacha Aleph. Kol Navi. Every prophet sheyamod lanu that will stand up for us, v'yomar she'Hashem shlacho, and say that Hashem sent me. Eino tzarich la'asot ot ke'echad me'otot Moshe Rabbeinu. He's not required to do a miracle like one of the miracles of Moshe Rabbeinu, like splitting the sea, for example. O ke'otot Eliyahu ve'Elisha, or like the signs made by Elijah and Elisha, his student, who were both famous for Tchiyat HaMeitim. They were both famous for bringing the dead back to life. Those miracles, sheyesh bahem shinui min hago shel olam. Those miracles have a change of the behavior of the world. We don't require every prophet to change nature. Ella ha'ot shelo. What is considered the sign of a regular prophet? Sheyomar dvarim ha'atidim liyot ba'olam v'yamnu dvarav. He has to say what's going to happen in the future in the world, and his words should come true. Predict the future. Shene'emar, as the verse says, V'chi tomar bilvavecha eicha neda et hadavar v'gomer. The Torah says, if you're going to say in your heart, how should we know that which Hashem did not speak? Hashem tells us in Parshat Shoftim that if a prophet speaks falsely, you kill him. How do we know? So the Torah says, if et asher yedaber hanavi v'lo yavo, if a prophet speaks and it doesn't come true, then hu hadavar asher lo dibro Hashem. That's what Hashem didn't speak. Bezadon dibro hanavi. That's the rest of the pasuk that the Rambam doesn't quote. So the point is, if the future doesn't come true, then you know he's false. But if he does come true, then you know he's true. Lifikach, therefore, k'sheyavo adam hara'ui linuvuah b'malachut Hashem. If a person comes and he's befitting for nevuah, we know he behaves well, and he says he's on the mission from Hashem. V'lo yavo lehosif o ligroa, and he's not coming to add or subtract to the Torah. Ela la'avodat Hashem b'mitzvot haTorah. No, he's coming to serve Hashem properly according to the mitzvahs. Ein omrim lo kra lanu hayam o hachayei met v'chayotze ba'elu. We don't say, tear open a sea for us, or bring back the dead, or something similar. V'achar kach na'amin b'cha, and only then we're going to believe you. No. Ela omrim lo, we tell him, im naviata, if you're truly a prophet, emor dvarim ha'atidim liyot, tell us what's happening in the future. V'hu omer, and he says the future, v'anu mechakim lirot hayovo dvarav im lo yavo, and we wait to see if his words come true or not. The Panim Yafot, who was a famous commentary that even mentioned by the Rebbes, that Tzemach Tzedek used to study his commentary almost every day some years. He writes that we put him in jail. He says the future, then we put him in jail while we wait. So we wait for him to see if his words are going to come true. Va'afilu nafal davar katan. Even if the tiniest detail doesn't come true, bi'adua shuhu nevi sheker, then it's known that he's a false prophet and we kill him. V'im ba'u dvarav kulam, but if all his words come true, yiyeh be'einenu ne'eman. Now he becomes trustworthy in our eyes. Now the Rambam doesn't write he becomes a true prophet yet. Now he's just trustworthy. Something came true. Now what happens? Halacha bet. Ubodkino to pa'amim harbe. Now we have to test him, check him out many times. Im nimtzu dvarav ne'emanim kulam. If each and every time all of his words come true, now the Rambam uses the terminology harei zeh nevi emet. Now he's a true prophet. So it takes one time to become ne'eman. Once he becomes trustworthy, then we check him a bunch of times, and now he's a true prophet. Kemoshe ne'emar b'Shmuel, as it says by Shmuel the prophet, vayeda kol Yisrael midan va'ad Be'ersheva ki ne'eman Shmuel l'navi la'Hashem. That all of a sudden, all of Jewish people from Dan till Be'ersheva, now they knew that Shmuel was a faithful prophet to Hashem, because he had said the truth. He had said the future, and it came true fully. The Rambam asks, by the way, how much is many times? Yeah, there's one commentary that Turei Even says 3 times. Like Moshe Rabbeinu, when he came to Egypt, he made 3 miracles. First with the snake, then with the hand became sarat, and then the blood. But other opinions say no, that it's just every person according to his caliber. You have to be skeptical of a Navi till you feel like he's true. Halacha gimel v'halo, but isn't it true? Hama onanim v'hakosmim, that diviners and sorcerers omrim masha atid liyod, they also say what's going to be in the future. Uma hefresh yesh ben hanavi u'benam. What difference is there between them and the true prophet? Ella, says the Rambam, the real difference is diviners and sorcerers and anybody like them. Miktzat divreihem mitkaimin, or miktzatan ein mitkaimin. They may say the truth, but it's never fully 100% accurate. Some of their words come true, some of their words do not. Ki inyan shene'emar, as Yeshaya Hanavi says, Ya'amduna v'yoshiyuch, let them come up and save you. Hovrei shamayim, those who gaze in the heavens. Hachozim b'kochavim, those who look to the stars. Modi'im lechodashim, they let you know at the beginning of the new month. Me'asher yavo alayich, from that which is coming upon you. Yeshaya was telling the Jews, if you believe so much in these astrologers, let them save you. But what does he call them? He calls them modi'im lechodashim. They let you know in the new month. What do they let you know? Me'asher yavo alayich, from that which is coming upon you. Me'asher v'lo kol asher. They tell you only some of the things that are coming, not everything. They don't know how to say 100% accurate nevuah. Even more so, the efshar, it's entirely possible, that sometimes nothing they say comes true. Ela yit'u bakol, they make a complete mistake. Kinyan shene'emar, as it also says in Sefer Yeshaya, mefer otot badim, Hashem cancels the signs of the fools. It's a reference to those that are gazing in the stars. V'kosmim yeholel, and sorcerers, he makes fun of them. He makes them go crazy because he makes nothing come true. Aval hanavi, but a true prophet, kol dvarav kayamim. The trademark is every word, because he's a conduit for the divine. Hashem is speaking through him, so every single word has to be accurate. Shene'emar, ki lo yipol midvar Hashem arza. No word of Hashem falls to the ground. V'chein hu omer, also it says in the verse, hanavi asher ito chalom yisaper chalom. The prophet who has a dream, he tells over dreams. V'asher dvari ito, but somebody who has my word with him, yidaber dvari emet. He only speaks my word of truth. Ma la teven et habar ne'um Hashem. Why are you mixing chaff, like the husks of the wheat, with proper grain, says Hashem. You're not supposed to mix negative and positive. Klomar, which means shedivrei hakosmim v'hachalomot, the words of the sorcerers, the words of the dreams, kateven shenitarev bo ma'atbar, is basically chaff, junk, a little bit of good grain mixed into it. Sometimes they get lucky, a little bit comes true, sometimes they don't, nothing comes true. Udvar Hashem, but the word of Hashem, kabar she'en bo teven klal, is like pure grain that has no chaff mixed into it at all. Therefore, that's what makes a true prophet, that he is 100% true. In fact, the Torah promised us, this is a guarantee, that all prophets will act this way. The Amar, and it said, that those very things about which diviners and sorcerers will tell the non-Jewish nations, and they will be disappointed, they will be lying. On the contrast, prophets will be telling you, the Jewish people, words of truth. We will not need a diviner or a sorcerer or anybody like him. As it says, should not be found amongst you anybody who passes their son or daughter through fire, because that's a goyish practice. These nations, they do that. And then it says, you are going to instead have a prophet come up from your brothers. We get the real deal. The non-Jewish nations, they get half and half. Some information true, some information not, but we have it all true. Halamadita, says the Rambam. From all this whole discussion, we get the following conclusion: She'en hanavi omed lanu, that a prophet does not stand up for us. In other words, the way he gets his status is only through ela lehodi'enu dvarim ha'atidim liyot ba'olam. He tells us the things that are going to happen in the future in the world, misova v'ra'av, like plenty and famine, milchama v'shalom, war and peace, v'chayotzei bahen. That's the way we determine what his status is. We don't look for more. Indeed, a prophet sometimes will even tell a person his individual needs. Not even for the whole nation. Shaul, the famous story. Shaul she'avdalo aveda. He lost a couple of his donkeys. And he went to the prophet Shmuel to tell him where their place is. And it's about those things. That's what the prophet comes and tells us. Circumstances in the world, physical things, different stuff. Lo sheyaseh dat acheret. Again, the Rambam underlines, not to make a new religion, or yosif mitzvah, or yigra, or to ever add a mitzvah, or to take away one, chas v'shalom. He never changes the religion. He keeps it intact. But he does tell us, and he has to tell us, ototu moftim, about the future in the world. Now, the Rambam gives one caveat, one exception, where the future doesn't necessarily indicate if he's a true prophet. Divrei hapuranut, halacha dalet. Words of punishment, words of disaster, shahanavi omer, which a prophet might say. Kigon sheyomar, for example, if he declares, ploni yamut, this guy is going to die. O shana plonit ra'av, or this year is going to be a year of famine. O milchama, or a year of war. V'chayotzei b'dvarim elu, and any of those things. So if the words come true, that's certainly an indication that he's a prophet. But if it doesn't, im lo amdu dvarav, if his words don't come true, ein bazeh hakchasha linevuato. That does not mean a denial of his prophecy. Ve'ein omrim, we don't say, hine diber v'lo ba, hey, he spoke, he said the future, it didn't come true. No. When it comes to negativity, the fact that negativity changed doesn't mean anything. Shakadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem is erech apayim, he's patient, he's slow to anger. V'rav chesed, he has much kindness, v'nicham al hara'ah, and he regrets decisions for bad. Ve'efshar sha'asu tshuva, v'nislach lahem, and perhaps the people did tshuva, and it was forgiven. Kan she Ninveh, the famous story of Ninveh. Yonah was sent to Ninveh. First, he didn't want to go. In the end, he went. What happened? He told them that it's going to be a bad time for them, but they did tshuva, and it was changed. O shetala lahem ki Chizkiah, or that he delayed it, like Chizkiah. Chizkiah had at a certain time he didn't want to have children, and Yeshaya Navi said he's going to, because he deserves to die. So he turned around, he davened to Hashem, and he was given another 15 years of life. So it wasn't totally forgiven, but it was extended. So Hashem could change when it comes to negativity. Aval im hivtiach al tova. But if the Navi promised something good, ve'amar sheyiyeh kach v'kach, and he said that so and so it will be, v'lo ba'a hatova she'amar, and the good did not come true to be as he said it, biyadua shehu nevi sheker, that's for sure an indication that he's a false prophet. Shekol dvar tova sheyigzor hakel. We have a tradition. Anything good that Hashem decrees, afilu al tanai, even if it's on condition, eino chozer, it never comes back. That's the Masorot. And it makes sense. If you think about it, something good, Hashem is a good God. Erech apayim micham al hara'ah rav chesed. So when he says it's going to happen something good, we believe, lo ish kel v'chazev, Hashem never changes his mind, so it stays good. If he says something bad,
but what if he promised something good and the people sinned? So
that's what I'm saying. Hashem doesn't take that back. Hashem, it's in the Zohar, it's called liba lepuma lo galia. Hashem, if Hashem, so to speak, takes something from his heart and puts it into his mouth, utters it in dibur through a navi, now it has an eternal power. So if it's negative, so then you say, it's negative for this person is not this person anymore, so he's good. So he's changed. But if it's positive, we say Hashem's positive nivuah never changes. The Rebbe once said that when it comes to bad, it also seems to be a change. So why can't it, if Hashem changes his mind, why isn't that considered God changing his mind? Because the whole reason why a Navi comes to warn about negativity is so that they should change their behavior. So he was a success, not a failure. If he says something bad and the Jews got inspired and they did teshuvah, that's a good thing. Now, there's another couple of lines over here that the Rambam adds. Many manuscripts don't have it. Some say it's actually a hagaha. It's a note from the Ravid, the famous commentator on the Rambam. It got inserted into the texts. But we'll read it anyways. V'lo matzinu shechazar bidvar tova. We never find that Hashem regretted something good. Ella b'churban rishon. Only one time in history, right before the destruction of the first Beit HaMikdash, k'shehivtiach latzadikim shelo yamutu im harshaim. He told all the righteous people that they will not die with the wicked. V'chazar bidvarav. And he retracted his words, and all the tzaddikim also died. V'zeh mefurash b'masechet Shabbat. This is clear in the Talmud, in Masechet Shabbat. This is how we know that it's not from the Rambam, because Rambam rarely gives his source. So many commentators say that it came from the Ravid. But how do you explain it? So some commentaries say, okay, it was a one-time thing. One time is okay. You can get away with one time. Some commentaries say that there was a cause why Hashem changed his words. At Tzaddikim, the whole reason they were told that they're not going to die was because he was counting on them to be mochiach, to rebuke the nation. They didn't rebuke the nation, they also became wicked. When you see someone doing a sin and you don't rebuke, you get the level of sin as well. And on Friday, a commentary who says that Hashem, it's hard to understand a little bit, but he says Hashem just told them that they're going to stay alive so they don't do more avirot. In other words, if they would know they're going to die anyway, they would say, forget about it. We're dying anyways, we may as well live it up. So he told the tzaddikim, you're not going to die, to keep them as righteous as possible. And then in the end, because they didn't do what they're supposed to do, he killed them as well. Halamadata. Here we learn. Only about positive things we can test a prophet. And in fact, this played out once in history. This is the famous story of Jeremiah the prophet told Hananiah ben Azur right before the first Churban. Hananiah ben Azur was a prophet. He was a true prophet at one time, but he became false later. He stood up in the Beit HaMikdash and he said, all this talk about Galut Bavel is fake news. Hashem is coming, and He's going to redeem everybody. We're not going to go to Bavel. It's one big Hakachainik. Temple's going to stay. Israel's going to stay. And Yirmiyahu said, no, unfortunately, I heard from Hashem otherwise. Stay with Bavel, honor Bavel, because we're going to be there for 70 years, and only then we're going to come back. So at one point they were debating, and Yirmiyahu tells them as follows: Kishahaya Yirmiyahu mitnabei l'ra'ah, v'Chananya l'tovah, when Yirmiyahu was saying negative, and Chananya was saying positive, Amar lo l'Chananya, he told Chananya, you're a lose-lose situation. Im lo yamdu dvarai, if my words don't come true, let's say Hashem brings us good things. In bazaraya shani navi sheker, that's not going to prove anything about me that I'm false, because Hashem could change from bad to good. But if your words don't stand true, yivada shatan navi sheker, everyone's going to know you're a false prophet. Shneimar, as it says, ach shmanat hadavar hazeh v'gomer. Yirmiyahu says, listen to this word that I'm saying. Hanavi asher yinaveh shalom. If a prophet says good things and says peace, b'vod dvar hanavi, only when the words come true, yivada hanavi asher shlacho Hashem be'emet, it will become known who is the true prophet that Hashem sent. You're taking a risk. You're saying good things, it's not going to come true. Everyone will know you're false. Indeed, he did die that year.
Yirmiyahu told him that he's going to die.
Yirmiyahu is going to die. He said you're going to die this year. Yeah. And then the pasuk says, "Vayamat Chananya b'chodesh hashvi'i." He died in the 7th month. Problem is, the 7th month is already Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah. So the Talmud Yerushalmi tells us what happened. That he died on Erev Rosh Hashanah, the day before. But he told his kids, "I don't want to be known as a false prophet, and I want Yirmiyahu to be a false prophet. So don't tell anybody that I died till after Rosh Hashanah, and then hold a funeral. You understand? He's dying. The last thing on his mind, he can't stand that Yirmiyahu should be a true prophet.
Isn't there a veer in that? Like, aren't you supposed to bury the dead almost immediately?
Yeah, of course.
So
that was his agenda. You see how twisted a person can get for his own agenda? Okay. Halacha hey, the final halacha of this chapter and of these halachot. Navi. If you have a prophet, shehe'id lo navi acher shehu navi, that another prophet testified about him that he's a prophet. Hareu b'chazkat navi, he is presumed to be a prophet. Ve'ein zeh hasheni tzarich hakira. And now the second guy doesn't have to be questioned. Typically, if a new prophet comes, he has to make a sign. If someone else testifies, no need for a sign. What's the biggest proof? Right in the beginning of our history. Sharei Moshe Rabbeinu he'id li Hoshua. Moshe Rabbeinu, right before he passed away, testified about Yehoshua that he's a prophet. Ve'eminu bo kol Yisrael. Kodem sheyaseot, and everybody believed him before he did a sign. Later on, he did many miracles. He split the Jordan River. He brought down the walls of Yericho. He stopped the sun. But before all that happened, the Jews just believed in him before he did a sign. And so too, 4 generations. We don't have to investigate a navi who has testimony. Even a new prophet, navi shenoda'a nevuato. If you have a prophet who became known that he's a prophet on his own. And they believed in his words time after time, or a prophet testified about him, and he was walking, he was behaving like a navi should behave. Now, once you've cleared your skepticism, now you can no longer be skeptical. Now it becomes forbidden to think anything about him, and to suspect his nevuah, maybe it's not true. We can no longer test him very much. We should not go and just constantly be testing. You got to your point, you figured out that it's true, that's it. Now you rely on whatever he says. Shneimar, as it says, don't test Hashem like you tested him in Masa, which was when the Jews said, Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin, is there God amongst us or not? At that point, so many miracles had happened to them that it was ridiculous to ask such a question. Once you have a certain establishment of faith, you don't go back and question it. Once it's known this guy is a prophet, let them believe and let them know that Hashem is amongst them. Don't be suspicious, don't think about him too much. As it says, let them know that the Navi is amongst them and Hashem is amongst them as well. Blessed is Hashem who helped us get to here. Mazal Tov for finishing Hilchot Yesodei Hatorah.